So let's go over to our receiver rankings now, Dalton, which is a pretty loaded receiver class. But it's pretty clear, I think, who the top guys are. So who is your top 5 right now?
Yeah, the top 3 is pretty simple. I think most people have this, although there's been some debate lately about 1 versus 2. But I'm sticking with Marvin Harrison, 1. Just the smoothest, most translatable guy. When you think about guys like Larry Fitzgerald and Devontae Adams and guys like that, that's Marvin Harrison. He's just so darn fundamentally sound. Another son, well-schooled, right? Can do it all. Malik Neighbors at 2. The only counter argument is Neighbors probably better after the catch than Harrison is, but Harrison's so darn smooth with everything else that it just can't be ignored. Odunze, the easy 3, last year would have been easily the best receiver in the draft, and I think he would be a lot of years. Odunze is about as good a wide receiver 3 as it gets. 4 and 5 were the hard part for me, and I watched probably 6 or 7 guys that could contend for these spots, but I have Mitchell and Thomas 4 and 5. I was going into this thinking Thomas would be 4. I just really like the nuance of Mitchell's route running. Adonai Mitchell, just there's just more in the package. Thomas's speed is otherworldly explosive. And I know they ran very similar 40s at the combine, but Thomas's speed shows up on tape. But I like the diversity in Mitchell's game the more I watch him. The route running, when he gets guys stacked up behind him when he's running certain cuts, especially on an in cut, you won't find anybody better. Just jab steps. There's certain little things in Adonai Mitchell's route running that make him, I think, give him a higher floor than Thomas. Mm-hmm. Whereas Brian Thomas, if they can unlock the speed and coach him off the line of scrimmage, and I think he needs to stop playing around so much after the catch. I think, dude, just run, because nobody's catching you. Honestly, he's just straight line. He's as dangerous as it gets. He could be. I think it comes down to those two with team fit as well. I would love Brian Thomas in Dallas. I've talked about Adonai Mitchell in Detroit would be just an unreal fit. I think it comes down to that more so. The talent is, if I could put a tied for 4th here, I would, but I know you probably wouldn't let me. You want to put me on the spot. So I switched it up the more I watched Mitchell's tape, and I went Mitchell 4 and Thomas 5, but it's razor thin, incredibly close.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if you saw the Malik Neighbors Pro Day. It's going on literally right now. He ran a 4.35 according to some scouts at the Pro Day. Stupid, dude.
40. I think I saw a 42-inch vert.
42-inch vert, and what was the broad? I gotta find the broad jump. The broad jump was
10.9. I think it was 10.9.
10.9. Yeah, you're right. 10.9. Dude,
filthy.
It's insane. Malik Neighbors was fantastic at his pro day, obviously. And yeah, he's obviously going to be one of my top receivers as well. Marvin Harrison Jr., I still have my number 1 guy. I'm not one of the ones who is saying Malik Neighbors is would be the number 1 receiver in this class, but I think it's relatively close. But I also think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a once-in-a-decade type of talent, which makes you think, okay, Malik Neighbors is also in that range as well because of how good he is. So those are clearly the top 2 for me. I think both of them could be, and maybe should be, top 5 overall picks in this NFL draft. That's how special those 2 are. And then Rome Odunze at number 3, man. I think he is a guy that he is a victim of being in this class, because if you look at a lot of pass receiver classes, he would be pretty clearly the number 1 guy in the draft. He's an elite athlete, elite in contested catch situations. You just got guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, who I like a little bit more than him. But again, he's the number 3 receiver in this class, but he is no consolation prize, man. He is an elite talent himself. I would take all 3 of those guys in the top 10. Now, there is, I think, a pretty significant drop from those 3 to the next, but I still think there's some really, really talented players. I have Brian Thomas Jr. at number 4. You mentioned he's a great vertical threat, one of the best in this class, I think, with his size and speed, explosiveness, and all that. I have him at number 4 right now, led the nation in touchdown catches this past year in the LSU receiver room, in addition to Jay and Daniels throwing the ball. QB1, according to Dalton. Pretty ridiculous passing game. And then at number 5, I have Adonai Mitchell from Texas. A little bit of effort concerns. I don't know if this popped up for you when you were watching him, man. Even sometimes when he was targeted, he seemed to be running half speed on his route. So got to clean that up, I think. But I mean, he is one of the most gifted receivers in this class. 6'2", runs a 4.4 or even a 4.3. I forgot what the exact number was for him, but he is a freak athlete. Can obviously go up and get it. just gotta, clean up some stuff. A really fluid route runner. That was something I really was surprised by a little bit when I was watching his tape over the last few weeks. But I just think some effort stuff is there with him that I didn't love. But I have him at number 5. And then some other guys that like Ladd McConkey, I hated leaving out of my top 5, but he was right there as well. Troy Franklin's another guy I really like. I mean, it is, if you need a receiver, man, get one this year because it is truly a special receiver class this year. Who is the sleeper, though, Dalton, that you wanted to shout out in this receiver class?
There's so many. There's going to be receivers in round 5 and 6 that are going to be solid players, and I think I'm going second generation again here, Max. Give me Luke McCaffrey out of Rice, man. It got lost on me in the process somewhere that he came into college at Nebraska and then his first year at Rice as a quarterback. He's only been playing receiver 2 years, and he switched to receiver at Rice and was immediately their best football player. Right, last year. Actually tied for the national lead with Rome Odunze in contested catches, and he played 2 less games. Like, he's tough as nails. He's a solid route runner who's getting better. He ran, I believe, was it a 4.46 at the combine? I think that was it. He beat Christian, which I know that was a big deal on combine day. He's just a football player, man. And you know what? For him to be as good as he is, only playing 2 years at receiver at Rice, where again, he's another player where the rest of the situation around him wasn't great. Rice's offense was basically get Luke McCaffrey the ball as many times as possible. And he was up to the challenge. He can play outside a little bit, plays in the slot a lot. I assume in the NFL he's going to play in the slot mostly. But you want a guy who's just like fundamentally sound, knows how to play the game, high IQ, and tough as nails. I think Luke McCaffrey is, he's I don't know if he'll be as good at his position as Christian is at his, but I think he's just a really high floor guy that if you told me even as high as round 4 he's a solid player. I love him. I just love watching him.
Dude, I love Luke McCaffrey too. I think he's definitely a sleeper in this class. The one I wanted to go with, though, and I know we actually argued over it because we both, I think, wanted him at one point, is Malik Washington, the Virginia receiver, transferred over from Northwestern. Again, he's not going to wow you with his size. He's 5'9", 191 pounds, which probably is going to limit him to being a slot receiver in the NFL. Only has about 30-inch arms as well. But, man, this guy's tape is fantastic. He was one of the highest-graded receivers in the country this past season. He is elite after the catch. I mean, he could break tackles as well as almost anyone in this class. I loved watching it. And even, dude, I understand he's not the biggest, but he was pretty good in contested situations as well. I believe he caught about 65% of his contested targets this past year. So I love Malik Washington. I think he's a guy that obviously is probably a slot-only receiver at that size, but he is a tough guy to cover, man. He's a really good route runner as well. Really good acceleration, really good change of direction ability. I really like, and again, like I said, he's elite after the catch. So I like him a lot for a team needing a slot receiver. Again, he's going to go in day 3 probably, but he's a really good athlete, I think, as well. He had a 99th percentile vertical jump at 43 inches. So I'm a big fan of Malik Washington, man. And I think he's a guy, again, slot only, but I still think he'd be a really valuable piece in the NFL. And if you can get him somewhere in the 4th round, like he's being projected right now, I think that's a slam dunk steal for whoever gets him at that spot.